the best investments I've made over the years are tools that most filmmakers seem to overlook just because they're not as sexy as a camera or a lens. All the filmmaking gear I'm going to share in this video have made me more efficient, saved me more time, and actually made me more money as a filmmaker. So here are 8 underrated filmmaking equipment that you likely don't have in your kit, but you'll definitely want to add. And stick around all the way until the end because I'll share a bonus piece of equipment that most filmmakers don't really talk about, but has made me so much more efficient and is actually the biggest driver for my growth as a filmmaker. Hi, my name is Bruno Pozo. I'm a full-time commercial filmmaker living here in Bend, Oregon. I make weekly videos on filmmaking techniques, gear, and how to make money with your camera. If any of that interests you, hit that like and subscribe. All right, let's start with the first piece of equipment that I don't think I've seen anyone online share about, and that's an LCD screen protector for your camera. You know, we use these screen protectors all the time for our phones or other devices like an iPad, something like that. So I always wondered, why wouldn't I buy one for my camera? And you might be thinking, where would you use it? And it's just for the LCD screen on the back. Just like any other screen protector, this is just to help prevent damage and wear and tear on your LCD screen. And in fact, for the R5 Mark II, which I have, it came with a little extra protector for the screen on top where the mode dial is, because there's just a tiny little panel there, which I thought was super cute and fun. This does a few things for me. One, it makes me feel a lot safer about my camera and my equipment. And number two, it helps prevent that damage. So if I do decide to resell the camera or something along those lines, there won't be a lot of damage, especially if I did drop it, which luckily hasn't been the case. And the way I see it, these screen protectors I think were like $10 or something, and just having that extra protection on my $4,000 camera I think is well worth that small investment. Now the next piece of equipment I want to talk about is something that you don't really notice when you first start filmmaking, but once you have it you really can't go back, and that's high capacity fast read and write SD cards. Most of us starting out, when we go to buy an SD card, that's like one of the last things we're gonna buy. And you typically just get like, I don't know, maybe a 64 or 128 gigabyte SD card, and then you don't think much outside of that. But it's really important, especially in filmmaking, to get a really high capacity SD card because the last thing you want to happen on set is to run out of storage. And filmmaking, unlike photography, takes up a lot of space really quickly. So these SD cards that I got are actually for my old Canon R6 Mark II, and they're 256 gigabytes. And then the more important fact is their read and write speed, which is a V60 card. Now, if you're not super familiar with read and write speeds, there's a whole video that can be done just on that topic alone. But what you really want to look for is the video write speed, which is like constant write speed. So in my case, I got a V60 because that allows you to pretty much capture 4K 60 video without any problems. If I were to have a V30 or maybe even something like a U10 or something along those lines, I wouldn't even be able to capture 4K 30. So making sure you got an SD card that can read and write fast enough to the frame rate and resolution that you want to shoot in is really important. And all you need to do for this is actually just look up the camera you're shooting on and look for compatible cards and make sure that whatever read and write speed you need to capture, let's say 4K 60, you get the card that has the right specs for it. And another added benefit of getting these more high quality, faster cards is that when you offload the footage from your camera to your computer, that happens much faster. So you're not wasting time just sitting there twiddling your thumbs as you wait for footage to just transfer. So definitely look into investing into those higher quality SD cards or CF Express Type B cards, whatever the cards your camera takes, because it'll do a lot to make you more efficient and prevent any headaches in the future. Now, the next piece of underrated filmmaking equipment I want to talk about is a high quality on-camera mic or wireless mic. I use these pretty much on every single shoot depending on the situation. So if I'm having someone talk on camera, like in this case right now, I use the wireless Rode mic because I have it clipped under my sweater. And so no matter the distance from the camera, you're always going to get clean audio from me. Whereas I'll use the on-camera microphone just to capture the ambient sounds in the room, or if I'm doing more of like a vlog style piece of content, then this will be on the camera. And sometimes I'll have both of these on at the same time just because this one can record a backup locally to the actual transmitter, while this one will be on the camera as a backup just in case anything might happen. But of course, I will always prioritize this audio file because it is actually capturing someone's voice, and it just typically will have a much higher quality audio because the microphone is much closer to the individual, whereas this one, I don't always have control of how close I am to the subject. There are a lot of different options out there. The ones I have right here are the Rode VideoMic NTG, which is a great on-camera microphone, which has a bunch of features. One of my favorite being the gain dial here that I can adjust on the fly, depending on the situation I'm in. And it even has a safety channel that I can turn on where it'll record a regular audio track on the left track. And then I think it's like negative 20 decibels lower on the right track. So if anything were to clip, like someone were to yell, I can use the track on the right, which is much quieter, and the left channel I can just ignore because it'll be clipped. And the wireless mic I got is the Wireless Pro. I used to have the Rode Wireless Go 2s, but ever since they upgraded to this model, it has been a game changer because this also has a bunch of great features that they added, like the auto gain for when I connect it to my camera. It has 32-bit float recording, so going back to worrying about clipping, that's not going to be an issue with this microphone at all. And it came with a bunch of accessories like the carrying case that I simply plug into my laptop, which will allow me to transfer all the files from both of the transmitters, as well as adjusting all the settings I need to right there on my computer. So no matter what microphone you decide to go for, make sure it's a quality one like one of these two, because as you know, audio is just as important, if not more important, than video quality. All right, now the next piece of underrated filmmaking equipment that I want to talk about is a sturdy tripod. And in my case, it's being used right now, but it's the Smallrig Freeblazer tripod. Tripods are often overlooked because, once again, they're just boring. They're just meant to hold your camera. They're not really anything that special. But getting a proper one, especially for filmmaking, is really important. Number one, because it's holding your equipment, you want to make sure it's sturdy so it doesn't just get knocked over and actually damage your camera and your microphone. And number two, if you want to do camera movements like a pan or a tilt, you want to make sure you get a fluid head tripod, which is something that is designed for filmmakers, versus a ball head tripod, which is specifically designed for photographers. The main reason to go for the fluid head over the ball head is because the fluid head actually allows for that movement to be much smoother when operating the tripod. And that's why I love the Smallrig Freeblazer tripod so much. It's not only heavy duty with a payload capacity, I think of like 20 pounds, 30 pounds, something like that, something that I'll never reach because I'm not putting that much weight on it. But it also has the fluid head that allows me to have very smooth and controlled pans and tilts when I do decide to use it for those movements. And what made this tripod especially attractive to me was the fact that it had a single latch system for every single leg. So if you've ever used old tripods or more cheap tripods, you'll notice they have a bunch of different systems, but typically there's a bunch of levels of latches or dials, I suppose, that you have to twist that adjust the height of the tripod. Whereas with this one, you only have the one switch on each leg. So all I have to do is unhook all the legs once, adjust the height of my tripod to where I want it to be, and then lock each leg, and I'm done. So setting up this tripod is so much faster and more convenient than my old tripods. And this tripod could even go up to about, I think it says 7 feet high. So if I ever need to go above a crowd or get really high up in a space so I can get a nice angle on whatever I'm shooting, I can do that with this tripod, no problems. No matter what tripod you choose, just make sure it has a fluid head, is sturdy, and has a strong payload. All right, on to the next piece of underrated filmmaking equipment, and this one's going to be a camera strap. Now, the one that's in my hand comes from Peak Design, and the reason I decided to get this one is, one, it's pretty sturdy, and then two, it actually comes with this locking system that makes it very easy to take on and off my camera. If you've ever used a camera strap from your camera brand, you know how annoying it is to put on. You have to do this whole loop and sort of tie it through this weird little insert and make sure it's done correctly on the little ear of the camera. It's terribly annoying to put on and off. And so what I appreciate about the Smallrig is they have this anchor system where you tie these anchors directly to the camera once, and then all you gotta do is snap it on to put it on. And when you're done, hold the button, pull the strap out, and it snaps right off as well. And these are meant to be very durable. I've heard mixed reviews from people where they've had negative experiences with Peak Design, but personally, it's been working more than fine for me. And I've had my whole rig set up where it's close to like, I don't know, 7, 8 pounds with the 28 to 70 and the whole big camera battery that I have with this freaking camera. And it hasn't had any issues whatsoever. Oh, and I forgot to mention that they even have this little latch that you undo, and you can adjust the height and length of the strap very easily, which was also annoying if you use the camera brand strap. I always found adjusting the length of those very tedious. So no matter what camera strap you decide to go for, just make sure it's sturdy and easy to take on and off, and that's why I like the Peak Design ones. Now, this next piece of underrated filmmaking gear is actually something I have heard a bit online, but I'd like to share with you here now, and that's having some sort of multi-tool. As filmmakers, we use a lot of different equipment that require different tools like Allen wrenches, screws, different sized screw heads. And so having one tool with all those is a game changer. In this case, I got one from Smallrig. And this one comes with a bunch of different heads, whether it's like a Phillips screw head, you got like a star version, you got a bunch of different sized Allen wrenches as well. So depending on the tripod you're using, you can get rid of those screws and unscrew things no matter where you are. And so I pretty much just throw this thing in my bag, and whenever I need it on set, I just quickly grab it from its pocket, take out one of the heads that I need to use, screw it on, screw it off, whatever I gotta do, put it away, and it's all good. And so people are gonna love you on set because, once again, they're not gonna go around asking,
does anyone have a quarter or a screw or an Allen wrench that's this side, not this size?
This one thing has it all, at least the majority of them. And what's even cooler is that if you do have a screw that needs to be removed from a plate, for example, and you don't have a place to hold it, this actually has a place where you can put those screws and just hold them, and so you won't lose them either. And so this thing has saved me so many times on set. I really love it. It's like $30, so it's a little bit expensive or so, but it's definitely worth the investment. All right, this next piece of underrated equipment is gonna help keep your setup clean, and that's a rocket blower and some lens cloths. Our video quality is only as clean as the lens and the sensor on our camera. And so if you're not taking care of those, then you can end up with little splotches of dust, dirt, or even like streaks of grime, oil, whatever on the lens, and that's gonna really destroy your video quality. Luckily, it's very easy to clean filmmaking equipment, so I have, I don't know, a pack of like 30 of these magic fiber lens cloths, and I use them for everything. I do try to separate them based on the equipment I'm cleaning though. So there's a set of lens cloths that I use specifically for cleaning the lens. And then there's a separate set of lens cloths that I use for cleaning the camera body and the LCD screen / viewfinder on the back. This is to prevent transferring dirt and dust from different parts of the camera, especially because the parts we use like the LCD screen and the viewfinder more, they tend to have a lot more dirt versus the lens. And the rocket blower is just meant to remove dust and those little lighter particles from your lens, the sensor, and little nooks and crannies all over your camera body. Both of these things are really cheap, but definitely worth the investment because you want to make sure you're taking care of your equipment as best you can. This next piece of filmmaking equipment is so underrated and overlooked because it really is one of the most boring things you can buy, and that's an 18% gray card or a color checker. These tools are used to set exposure and white balance accurately on set. Now, I don't have a color checker, and I do want to buy one specifically for video, but that one would actually help you with color correcting and color grading your footage so that no matter what scene you're in, everything matches and all the colors look accurate. A gray card can be used to set white balance and exposure, but it's typically a photographer's tool, although I've used it in a pinch for video as well. In fact, if you want to know what middle gray is, this is middle gray. This is an 18% gray. And so if you have false color on, there should be a color dedicated to 18% gray. and all you're looking for is that color to appear on the gray card. And then that's how you know you have proper exposure. And if you want to set white balance, all you gotta do is actually hold this up in the center of frame, take a picture of it in Canon and other cameras. You might just be able to do it directly in the white balance setting. And then your camera will actually do the calculations for you and set the white balance to the right number. A color checker is more what a filmmaker would use because those colors on there are set to the standard broadcast for Rec 709, which is just a nerdy way of saying it has a lot more tools for accurately checking colors and exposure. Now, I promised you a bonus piece of filmmaking equipment that most filmmakers don't talk about, but will exponentially grow your filmmaking skill set. And that's actually having a nice editing laptop. In my case, this is the M1 Max MacBook Pro with 64 gigabytes of RAM. Now, this thing has made me such an efficient filmmaker because the new MacBooks with their M1, M2, M3 chips have such a great ability when it comes to video editing. They have dedicated drivers to encoding and decoding video, and so I've actually been able to edit my H.265 files really easily without any hiccups on these laptops. And if you're unfamiliar with what H.265 file is, it's just a way that our cameras compress video files. Typically, they're going to be on GoPros, drones, even iPhone footage, and some cameras. But ever since buying this laptop, I haven't made a proxy like ever, and I can pretty much just work directly from camera, upload the file to the computer, upload that file to Premiere, and start editing without any hiccups. Whereas when I used to be on my Windows computer, I always had to convert my H.265 files and make proxies because otherwise I would not be able to have a smooth editing experience. And so I've been more efficient, I've been getting work done faster, I'm able to edit faster, and therefore I'm able to make a lot more money. Not to mention, because it is a laptop versus a desktop, you can edit on the go. So there have actually been times where I've been editing on a plane on my way back home from a project, and so I'm actually getting ahead on my work well before I even get to my desk at home. And because it is a MacBook versus some sort of Windows laptop, I don't need to have it plugged into a wall outlet to take full advantage of its power. Whereas if you have a Windows laptop and it's not plugged in, it's actually not going to be running at its full capacity when it comes to hardware and software decoding. And so I highly recommend getting any of the Apple M-chip laptops. If you can, get the Pro versions with at least 32 gigs of RAM, but they are expensive, but definitely well worth the investment. Now, talking about equipment is great, and I have a whole playlist of these on my channel, but if you want to learn how to make money with your camera, then you should check out my guide on that here. Now, do you have any pieces of filmmaking gear that you think is underrated? Share with us in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. I appreciate every single one of you who do, and I'll see you in that next video. Peace.